Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and good afternoon, Ms. Telford. Thank you for your attendance today. Ms. Telford, did the Prime Minister receive a series of briefings from Canada's National Spy Agency beginning in January 2022 on Beijing's election interference, specifically in the 2019 election?
I believe you received from the National Security and Intelligence Advisor and from the Privy Council Office a listing of briefings that the Prime Minister has received on the subject.
Yes, you're referring to the document that was undertaken by the National Security Officer, Jody Thomas, on March the 1st of this year that we received this morning at 10 o'clock in the morning. And I've looked at this, and there's no indication about any briefings in January of 2022. But noteworthy, the commentary on the beginning of page number 1 indicates the list is not exhaustive, as the records are not complete in all cases. And this only represents formal briefings as opposed to informal briefings. So I'll ask the question again. Did the Prime Minister receive a series of briefings beginning in January 2022 on Beijing's election interference in the 2019 election? Yes or no?
I think, Madam Chair, the answer may have been given in the question, which is that in the preamble in the memo, it talks about how there's all kinds of conversations that go on about some of these topics that can't all be captured in terms of formal briefings, and you have the list of formal briefings that are provided in the memo.
So I could take that as a yes, that he would have received some informal briefings in and around that time frame, January of 2022, as reported by Global News on November the 7th of 2022.
I can't speak specifically to what was discussed in briefings over the course of those months and whether it was related to what was in the reporting.
Again, Ms. Telford, I'm not asking for specifics. I'm asking you to confirm that is more than likely, in fact, it did happen, that he would have received briefings along those lines in January of 2022, notwithstanding that it's not repeated in this particular document that we got today.
Did and more than likely, in my experience, are different things. I think it is quite possible that there were discussions throughout that time period around foreign interference. As I think the Prime Minister said yesterday, we have talked about these subjects a lot over many years because there's been a lot of activity and a lot of work that this government has done on this front.
And the Prime Minister was briefed on China's Toronto consulate directing a large clandestine transfer of funds to at least 11 federal election candidates and numerous Beijing operatives who worked as their campaign staffers. That was the subject matter of those series of briefings in January of 2022. Are you confirming that?
No, Madam Speaker, I can't, unfortunately, I can't provide information about what I have or have not been briefed on in an intelligence setting or in a public setting about intelligence. But what I can remind the members through you, Madam Chair, of is what the NSIA said when she was here, actually on March 1st at this very committee, and she said the connection that was being made between 11 candidates and funds that you're describing, that was inaccurate.
If this was completely inaccurate, if this story of Global News on November the 7th was completely inaccurate, you would have said so, your Prime Minister would have said so, your members of Cabinet would have said so. So I'm asking you specifically, apart from the issue of clandestine transfers to 11 candidates, the other subject matter of those briefings, is that false? Is that inaccurate in any way?
I'm sorry, you might have to clarify the question, Madam Chair.
You've highlighted that there was an issue with respect to the Prime Minister never receiving any information respect to the transfer of monies to specific candidates. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about the broader description of evidence and intelligence that was shared with the Prime Minister in a series of briefings in January 2022, as reported by Global News. Is that inaccurate?
So, Madam Speaker, I can't speak to the reporting that Global News spoke about. I can speak to my experience, which is that there have been a lot of conversations over many years. It's why all the different mechanisms that I outlined were put in place leading into the 2019 election and the 2021 election. There were further steps taken in between those two elections.
Thank you.